Welcome to the Veneration podcast. Veneration is a fitness and nutrition coaching facility here in Johnstown, Ohio. And while we obviously do the workout thing really well, we're absolutely obsessed with our town and with our community. On this podcast, we'll be covering local happenings, food and drink spots here in town, interviews with our awesome members, like Daniel Swick, and other local business owners here in town. Of course, we'll jam on fitness topics with our coaching team as well. If you're in Johnstown and looking to stay up to date with everything that's happening and learn a thing or two about how to enhance your fitness, go ahead and subscribe to our channel to get notified when we release new episodes. If you or a friend would like to begin your health and fitness journey with us, we want to help you. You can head over to CrossFitVeneration.com, or you can click the link in the show notes to book your free new member consultation here at Veneration, where we will team up with you to learn about your story, learn about your goals, and get you on a custom action plan to bring them to life today. So, without further ado, I'm very excited to introduce my guest, Daniel Swick, who I have known for, we're pushing a year now, right? We're getting there.
Coming up on it, yeah.
Coming up on a year. So, Daniel, I want to start this off by, I like this question because I think it gives people a really good feel maybe on who you are. So, let's say for the next 5 years, you only get to listen to one song, read one book, and watch one movie. What are those three things?
Wow. So I kind of struggled with that question because you said that. So I was like, oh man. So I actually don't watch many movies. We don't have TV reception, and that's not a big part of our life. So I can completely skip the movie part.
Okay.
Yep, totally. The Bible would be the one book, absolutely. And for music, again, it's kind of like movies. I'll listen to the radio, but I don't have like a specific theme song of my life, so to speak.
Okay.
If I was going to lock it down, let's see, Consuming Fire would be one, and by, I can't remember the name of the author, but Consuming Fire.
Okay, so when I ask this question, like I said, the purpose is to give a pulse on the person.
Yeah.
And you did that very well. So
Okay, awesome.
TV's not a big thing.
No.
I could have told you that. The Bible, great answer. Could have told you that was going to be your answer. And then music, like, it's very, very cool. It's very telling.
Cool.
So, great answer. That's
Awesome.
good. So I want to know, we're going to jump right in. I want to know the Daniel Swick story. Okay. So whatever that means to you, if that's starting like where you grew up and like what's got you to today, it's a very open-ended question. What's your story?
Awesome, cool. So the Daniel Swick story. My family's been in Ohio for generations. My grandpa's a sheep farmer in north of Newark, and I grew up in a trailer park from the first few years of my life in a trailer park north of Newark, St. Louisville area. And then until I was 13, again, living in a trailer in the woods. So just kind of a hillbilly from the trailer in the woods is my background. And so I was homeschooled, which was unique in the 80s. We were homeschooled children when there were laws neither supporting or defending either way. So it was just kind of no man's land. And that was a big part of kind of who we were as a family, things like that. Then my family moved to the Heath when I was a teenager. Would have gone to Heath High School during that time of my life, and so yeah, I went to OSU Newark. Go Bucks! So I am a Buckeye. Nice. Went for math and science middle school education. Not using the degree in that aspect at all. I have learned through that I couldn't teach public school. That's the philosophy of what they do and what they teach and how they teach children is typically not who I am.
Whoa, I don't want to interrupt you, but I didn't know that. So you were homeschooled all the way through school?
Yes.
Through high school and everything?
Yeah.
Is that true? And then you chose your major as education?
Yeah.
How did you get from never having been in the public education system to wanting that to be your major? Like, what was that?
So I worked with children a lot. I've taught karate since I was like 15, 16 at the YMCA. I've been in karate for a long time. I worked with kids a lot with that. I enjoy teaching. I currently teach in my current position in my business, and I enjoy that part of helping others, teaching, giving, just that aspect of it. And that was kind of the bend and the push of, if you enjoy teaching, you just got to become a teacher.
Got it.
So
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I did not know that that's what you went to school for.
Yeah.
And that is, putting that together, that's like a crazy leap, having never been in the public education system.
My first day of public education was at OSU Newark.
Wow.
First classroom experience. Yeah.
So walk me through that day. Like explain, because that's got to be.
It was
like a culture shock. It was like
a little bit. A little bit. We weren't like super sheltered homeschoolers.
Sure.
There's this false stigma of unsocialized, sheltered, awkward homeschoolers, and there are sheltered, awkward homeschoolers, and there's also sheltered, awkward, private and public schoolers. So, no, I was pretty well introduced to the greater culture. But then the act of like sitting in a classroom and listening to an instructor and things like that was different. And I made it through. The first couple of years were very much review. First 2 years, didn't learn a ton except for my Spanish class. Foreign language, homeschool doesn't work real well. Hola, mama. That just doesn't. No. You gotta have an immersive experience.
That's funny.
So other than that, first couple of years was a lot of review, and then as I progressed in my college experience, I just more and more thought, I don't think being part of this institutional education experience is going to work. Wasn't me. We homeschool our children currently, and I believe in life education versus systematic sitting in a room to receive your education.
Awesome. Very interesting. I can't wait to dig into that, because you and I mean, early on in our friendship had some pretty cool conversations, because at that time, so my son would have been hardly a year, I think, or just over a year old when we first met. And so we dove right into those conversations, and you're like, hey, try this. And I think a word would be like maybe unorthodox approaches. And like, so I've totally embodied that with all kinds of things. Like, I mean, anyone that follows like any of my social media, like it's like a lot of family members will be like, hey, maybe consider not doing that like thing. It's like, no, like I'm dad, he can do that with me, like he can wrestle with me or whatever. So I think unorthodox is a word, and
cool.
So I'm excited to dive into that a little bit. So,
awesome.
So you graduate from OSUN.
Yep.
And decide like that's not the path.
Right. So I was working for the YMCA at that time, and I was like a junior manager at their day camp in the Newark YMCA day camp, and there was an opening at the Pataskala branch, so I became a junior branch manager for the Pataskala YMCA, working in the weight room. I was in charge of the before and after care and the in-school before and after care, and also the day camps. Did that for a few years. Really enjoyed it. It was fun, but I was making nothing. Right. So, and then I was also married. We're looking at having kids here soon, and one of our family goals is that specifically while our children are young, my wife Rachel can be full-time mom, and I can be full-time provider. I'll make the ends and she makes the meat, right? So that was one of our family goals. We're like, I cannot do this on $25,000 a year. So at that time also, I had purchased my first house in Newark. It was a junker, bank-owned home. And you could throw this table through the bathroom floor and it would land in the living room, kind of a house. So it was awesome. Bought it before I was married, obviously. So after we got married, we put that house on the market, bought another bank-owned home in Pataskala. And during that experience, I did a lot of the work myself. And there was a real estate agent who was also a fitness instructor at the Y. She's like, Daniel, you'd make a really good agent. You should totally go into real estate. She pushed me quite a bit. And then, so I did.
Did you push back at all?
I didn't know what it meant. So I pushed into it a little bit. Not much, I wouldn't say pushed back, but I pushed into it to see, what does this mean? How do you make income? How can this, cool. What is the math of it? That kind of thing.
Yep. So,
and my wife was a full-time nurse at that time at Mount Carmel East, I think. And she's like, all right, honey, I got the bills, you build something bigger. And so we did. So the first year I only made, again, 25, 30,000. And then it grew pretty quick from there, built a small team. This was in 2008, 9, 10. The worst time to enter the real estate market. So now is a very difficult time also for opposite reasons. And right then, in 2008, you couldn't sell a house if your life depended upon it. And right now, it's almost impossible to buy a house. So it's completely flipped.
How many are available right now in the county, like in just Lincoln County?
I looked a couple weeks ago, and there were only 68 homes for sale in the Newark Heath area.
That's bananas, right?
There should be about 300.
Wow.
Yeah. A healthy market would be 300 to 400.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, because they're going.
Yeah. Right off.
Gotcha.
So we've underbuilt. There's a chart that I couldn't pull up right now, but it shows that for the past 5 decades, we built, we got my numbers right, about 25 million homes as a nation per decade, per 10 years, except for in 2010 to 2020, we only built about 6 million. So we way underbuilt in the past decade, and we're just out of boxes to live in. We're out of apartments, condos, houses as a nation. Our population growth has grown, and then we're just out.
Wow.
Yes. Supply and demand.
It seems pretty simple and obvious, like not that profound of a revelation, but wow.
Yeah.
Like no one's ever just put it like that. That's craziness.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't want to gloss over 2008 to present.
Okay.
And for you, this is your everyday. You're like, so I got into real estate and I built this team and like, this is where I'm at. But I'm very ignorant to the whole process. So
Okay.
I want to hear a little bit about what that storyline looks like. What does your first year in real estate look like, and how does that change to year 2, 3? What is that process?
Great question. So I'll explain mine and then what it should have been. So my first year in real estate was calling friends and family, networking with church. I did a lot of online lead gen in 2008. Internet advertising was a very new thing, and I was pretty good at it, just instinctively. I pick a lot of things up just instinctively. I don't know how, but my brain knows lots of random information. So I did a lot of lead gen and built the business that way, randomly, chaotically. What I should have done is built up a professional inner circle of other professionals who I'm going to collaborate with the transactions, and then continue to build my lead gen and my book of business is the term we use. So I should have been more organic, building community, building a collaborative network of professionals, things like that. But it still worked. So I pushed through the first year or 2 in that.
Okay. So hindsight is 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And you're explaining very clearly what you know now.
Right.
How did you bridge that gap? What did the experience for that to now look like?
Great
How
question.
did you change? How did you pivot?
Yeah. So my 3rd year in, we had a leadership change at the brokerage, where a senior leader left to start his own brokerage, and he was in the tech department, and my manager threw my hat in the ring for that position. So, and I also called our president and such at that time. And so I got it. And it was the Director of Digital Innovation was my title. So, which is a kind of a cool, weird title.
That is a cool title.
I was in charge of the lead routing, the business processes, a lot of vendor management for the brokerage, statewide brokerage. A random person comes in on our website in a random community in Ohio and does a showing request. How do we know who's the right agent for that? Is it one of our agents, or is it another brokerage agent we need to get to one of our agents? And then how do we make sure our agent actually followed up with that customer and served them? And so we had systems in place for all of that, logic and checks and balances, and I managed that.
So you say you manage that. Are you the spearhead of that? Like, are you building the systems?
I was managing I was managing systems within vendor groups. So I didn't code the system, but I definitely understood the code of the system.
Yep.
Okay.
Got it.
So yeah, during that time, I saw a lot of lead generation. And lead generation with most businesses is defined as strangers. So strangers find your service or your product and come and ask questions about it, and then you help them. That's what I define as a lead gen, as opposed to prospecting. A prospect is a 1-step or 2-step relationship. It's an immediate referral. So you need to sell your house, I sell your house, we're friends, that's a prospect. Or your friend or family, and you refer them to me. I still consider that a prospect because it's a warm relationship.
Lead is cold, prospect is warm.
Yep.
Got it.
So I would have focused harder on prospecting and building that book of business.
Gotcha. So in our world, and you're going to be familiar with this, the term affinity marketing. So everyone wants to run Facebook ads. But the problem is several. If I'm jumping straight to Facebook ads and I have these cold leads, they hardly know anything about us. So it's a completely different conversation now, where we're educating you on what it is that we do. But more importantly, the fact of the matter is, I would like a community full of Daniel Swicks, right? Like he's a great person. You're a great person who understands what we're doing, our values align. Rather than these cold leads through Facebook marketing, I want more people like Daniel Swick. And then sure enough, I believe another phenomenal person and his son, Dan Pound, right?
Yeah.
Like that is a perfect example of what you're describing, prospecting or affinity marketing.
Yes.
I want a family of people. We sound like a cult, but like I want a family of people that are similar and like-minded.
Oh, it's that way. It totally makes sense, and it's for any business. So if you jive with a handful of customers, and they probably will jive with their friends and family, or else they wouldn't be friends, and therefore their friends and family will also fit in your business plan, whether it's real estate or a plumbing or like whoever you serve. Right? So it totally makes sense. If you want to have customers that you enjoy serving, work with the friends and family of your friends and family.
And by the way, if you try to go in and take the easy route, the shortcut, and then you fill your community or your organization or whatever with the wrong people, right? The people that don't mesh, well, all the people that exist and are the right people disappear.
Yeah.
So,
yes.
Yeah, that's an extremely valuable point that you bring up in a lesson there. That's awesome.
So yeah, and then for about I was that position for about 4 years, 4 years, and then I was asked to be the manager of the Heath office. So at that time, that manager was stepping out for health reasons, and I stepped in. It had been neglected. The office in that community had been neglected a bit for a year or two. So I really got it ramped up. We grew aggressively for the next 3 to 4 years. And we were growing about 30% per year until the Rona put the brakes on that. So we're holding our own and not growing quite as aggressively in that immediate. But I've also transitioned a little bit. I helped bring a new manager in, Spencer Barker. He is an amazing guy, and he is co-managing, and I'm also shifting. So I helped build a digital office solution for our brokerage. So a virtual office solution.
Okay.
Agents, I have agents across the whole state of Ohio now, so I'm more focused on growing that and managing mine versus growing in the community. So it's an ideological community versus a geographical community.
Oh my goodness, that's awesome.
Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense.
So people who love to work from home manage the chaos of working from working from home intentionally, and how do we serve them as a brokerage with high quality coaching and training and resources from people who they can visit the offices and grab signs and use the printer and meet their clients, but they don't need a desk with their name on it there.
Sure.
So how do we provide a system of high quality for that type of person? So I've built that system and am growing it right now.
Now, I might have missed this, but I want to clarify. Was there any momentum, or was this born prior to the pandemic?
It was actually an act of God. So yeah, this idea was 2019. I went on a mud run with a good friend of mine, and during that time we were talking about growth and how we can grow. And Wolf, as a brokerage, very much dominated the counties that we're in. I'm like, okay, how do I grow when Wolf just crushed it? So kind of hit that upper level of, we have massive market share, and how do we go from here? So he's like, you need to spread out from that community. So how do we do? Talk through it, and then thought I need to build a virtual office for people who want to work from home specifically, and then I can have the entire state of Ohio is open. And I'm a pretty aggressive recruiter, so I love this part of recruiting. So if you truly believe that what you have is in the best interest of the other person, you have a moral obligation to go after their business aggressively. Because if you don't, then do you not actually believe that what you have is in the best interest of them, or are you just lazy and your selfish laziness is now affecting their business? So I truly believe that what we have as a company and I have as a manager, if you want to work from home in Ohio, I'm the best thing there. So we've got education, culture, leadership, training, coaching, all of it lined up, and yeah, we'll do that. So
when you realize that you're doing the other person a disservice by not offering them the opportunity to the solution that you hold, it makes conversations very, very simple.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
easy.
It's a passing of conviction is all it is. Like, if you're fully convinced in your own mind and soul that like this is the best, and if this is your goal, we're the best fit. There's other, and I'm only for like full-time agents who want to go get it. There's other brokerages out there. Their fees are lower. Their management style is very different, and they're like, well, they have cheaper fees, and I only want to sell 2 homes a year. Like, that's the one for you.
For sure.
Perfect. No,
And that's okay.
No harm, no foul.
Exactly.
Yep, go for it. So there are brokerages with a culture of minimums, minimum fees, minimum coaching, minimum standards. Not me, but good for you. So,
Very exciting.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
So I enjoy that recruiting, coaching aspect of that a lot.
Sweet. So this might be a oversimplified question, but like, what does a day-to-day look like for someone for someone in your shoes? Like, what does today look like when you leave here?
Awesome question. So when I leave here, I'll probably go back and work from home for a little bit. I do a lot of random phone call answers. I have a ton of all day long, from experienced agents to brand new agents. They call me like, Daniel, we got this going on in the contract. What should I do? What form do I use? What do you recommend? There's a lot of strategic and also procedural, how can we solve this customer's problem, that I do with my agents all day long. I also do structured training. So I've got a huge gaming computer that the game I play is called Math on a Spreadsheet. But it's awesome. I split screen that bad boy and do a lot of Zoom training where I step them through writing contracts. Where they watch it, and then I can watch them write contracts, and we hands-on train all across Ohio. And I do that on a pretty regular basis, multiple times a week. I am one-on-one with agents. And also building marketing initiatives, helping them build their book of business. We do a lot of in-community, so school booster programs, and an agent can sponsor the booster program and give back on every commission sale. So the school booster is like, yes, use this agent because they give us money back on the sale. So we do a lot of that kind of, getting those programs in place. Helping the agents get that plan rolling.
So this is a great opportunity to ask this question. I'm so glad I thought of this because I did not have this prepared ahead of time.
Awesome.
But
bring it on.
So what you just described on a simple, like, what's the day look like, right? That was several things, right?
Yeah.
And it was not, that was not several quick little tasks. Those are pretty large, profound, life-changing things for these people that you're working with. These are
Right.
big things that you're doing. I want to talk about, like, we could call it productivity or efficiency of time.
Yeah.
What systems, what best practices do you practice to make the most of your time, keep yourself organized? Like, do you have anything that you would pass on to myself or to those listening?
Awesome. Yeah. So I'm super ADHD. I have systems in place to manage that gift. It is not a curse. Like, we should not be medicating most children. Some kids need a little help, and there are chemical imbalances that need chemical fixes. But most of the time, it is a functional advantage that is not actualized in our culture. So, as I believe, much of the time, I'm super scattered. I get crazy random ideas on all kinds of stuff all day long, and that's one of the funnest things, is to help people problem solve. My brain, to visualize my brain, imagine standing in the middle of a tornado with a bunch of ideas spinning around you, and I can reach out and see these things and grab them and put them in place, examine them and put them back. All right, so that's kind of the way my brain hits ideas. So to manage that, I've got an app on my phone that I pull it up and voice to text myself, hit send. Voice to text myself, hit send. And when it sends, it goes to my inbox as a to-do list. And my inbox, my email inbox, does not scroll at the end of the day if I have had a good day. If my inbox scrolls, then I've had a bad day. So my job is to clear my inbox. So that's how I manage it. I voice to text myself things that I need to remember to do. And then I've trained my agents pretty well. If you want my idea, text me. If you need me to do something for you, email me.
Say that one more time.
If you want my idea on something, text me. I'll text you back. Quick ideas, quick exchange, top of the mind, fast answers. If I have to do something for you, if there's a production involved, so I need to get a form, get a signature of a broker on that form, fill it out this way, like do some procedure, that has to be an email. Then it goes into my to-do where when I'm sitting down in front of the computer, I can focus on knocking out tasks to do versus ideas to generate and nurture.
I will be hanging on to that. That's very good. So as a company, we moved everything from text to Slack for simple organization reasons. Like I don't, I understand you and how you just described your brain on a monumental, like spiritual level. And I have an issue with on the same device, on the same app, if you will, like my messaging app, have a problem like pick up diapers. Also, hey, here's this massive fire that needs put out. Right? Like that breaks my brain.
Yes.
I'm in two completely different places in my brain simultaneously, and it like short circuits and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So we moved everything to Slack.
All business is Slack, all personal is text.
Everything. So like if one of my team texts me, I know that this is like, hey, let's grab a coffee.
Yeah.
If we are talking to each other through Slack, it's like, hey, this needs fixed, and it's probably pretty urgent. But I love so Slack would be synonymous with what you're saying is like the text, and then email is email, or like if it's a project, if it's a thing that's going to require any extended amount of attention, hit my email.
Yep.
That's cool.
So that's the system I've worked out that works really well. And then having a morning formula is important. So I paid a lot of money for some high-end coaching about 1.5 years ago, and they taught me how to think. They actually taught me how to think about having that conviction on recruiting and that internal integrity, if that makes sense. And part of it is having a morning formula of success. I'm not the greatest of every morning, but I do review it. I do go over it, like setting priorities, setting who are you going to declare yourself to be today? And the be, do, and have, like be the right kind of person and do the right kind of things if you want to have what you want to have. And it has to be in that order. Having my day set up from the beginning, reviewing my to-do list early, setting I saw your thing up there in the corner, setting the big rocks in first. That is so vitally important. I do time budgeting very carefully. I put personal appointments on my calendar first, and those things are locked in. I'm like, hey, can you do this? I have another appointment. I'm taking my kids to soccer or CrossFit, but it's another appointment, and they don't need to know that. So the personal stuff is locked in.
But, and what you just said, for anyone listening, I'm not here to preach to anybody, but like what you just said is so huge, because whether it is taking your kids to the park, or having dinner with your wife, or your whole family, or hitting your workout, those are the first things that because they don't make it to the calendar.
Right.
Oftentimes, speaking generally.
Yeah. And they didn't in my life until a couple years ago. Yeah.
I believe you color code them, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So this is the thing I was praying for. I don't want to talk about
this.
Okay, because it's really good.
So I use pink for personal, blue for business, and green for money making. So blue for business administrative. So just the busyness of life that you need to do to have. Sorry.
You're good.
All right. Is that better? There we go.
Okay.
So the busyness of life, this is the things that you have to do. And then green is money making. And when I teach my agents, the green is showing homes, writing offers, doing those things that are actually going to bring income into you. Client consultations, those are all green. And then as opposed to like putting envelopes into folders, and that's all administrative work. It's not actually going to move the needle. You'd be shocked how many entrepreneurs, because every agent is an entrepreneur. They're a small business owner, independent contractor. They'll spend hours tweaking their website to make the button the right color in the right spot. I've got to move this around. Doesn't make them a penny. If they would have spent the same amount of time calling their friends and family, they would have probably have closings next month.
Another huge lesson that you're dropping. Like that's incredible. So it's simple.
Yeah.
But
you gotta move the needle, and you gotta put things in your day that are gonna move the needle.
I want to ask you a question, and I'm not sure I'm going to hit the nail on the head with this, so bear with me. But something that I've really enjoyed as our relationship has grown over the last several months and our conversations is that so many people that you come in contact with, either, that's why I said I don't want to butcher this, either have a fear of money or money is bad or evil.
Yeah, they're filthy rich.
Don't under.
Right? Okay, totally get what you're saying.
So, will you like? Do you have anything you'd like to talk about on that? Because
Heck yeah.
I think that money is very powerful, and whether it's used for the right things or the wrong things, but you talk about it very unapologetically, and so I want to hear what you have to say about this.
So this has been a growing experience my entire life. Grew up in a very Christian family and a very poor family. And the phrase filthy rich, that's a phrase. Why do we say that? Okay? The basic understandings of, let me just ask you, there's a random question.
Yeah.
Okay? When you hear the phrase hardworking family man, how much does he make? Go. Spit it out.
$40,000.
Yes, exactly. That is your self-limiting thought. I asked this exact same thought to a random young man in New Albany. He's like, oh, $1.20 or so. Why do you ask? Okay?
Whoa.
Yes. Okay? So if you go around randomly asking men this question, it will immediately tell you where their financial moral line has been set for them by their family.
Holy crap. That was cool.
All right? When you cross above that personally, you're going to have to grow through that with some sort of moral and spiritual guidance. Okay? Because it'll be very difficult for you to break through that and have a good conscience if you don't. It has taken a lot for me to grow through that concept. I think mine was around 50,000. My older brother's at 25,000. Yes. So it's amazing. Okay.
Oh, that's
so
crazy.
We have a moral compass of what does it mean to be a hard-working family man. Okay. And so a lot of this is like this Christian poverty, you know, the phrase, the incorrect phrase, money is the root of all evil. You know, the love of money is a root of all kinds of evil, is the full expression that is often shortened too much, okay? And money is an enabler, an empowerer, a revealer of what is there. So if you have great aspirations, then it will enable those. If you have great brokenness, it will enable that. And this falls back to a philosophy of like just an entire worldview, like for our children, okay? Concept of privilege. That's thrown around like a weapon right now. But I, on the other hand, am unashamed. I am going to give my children an unfair advantage in every way that I can. So it has to start out spiritually. It has to have an unfair spiritual and moral advantage. From there, then there's others that stack on top of that educationally, relationally, and financially. So if you get those out of order, you can give your child a great advantage educationally and great advantage financially, but if they don't have good relationship skills or relationship in the community, they can't put that into effect and maximize it. Or if they're spiritually deficit, then they will be destructive in that. So you have to lay that foundation and then give them an unfair advantage, because we're not on a cruise ship, we're on a battleship in this life. Yeah. And yes.
You know, I believe that one church has that's their thing. That's their big thing. I was able to go to like one of their team, like a monthly whole team deal with Ryan. Okay. And Pastor Greg got up and was talking about like their organization being a battleship, not a cruise ship. And I was like, I'm about to jump out of my seat. That's super cool. Sorry, I interrupt you.
No, it's all good. So yeah, just having that philosophy that we are at odds with each other naturally, not necessarily even a bad thing. Conflict is not bad. It has to be done. And we need to give our children an unfair advantage in all those categories. And so the unfair financial advantage has to be in line with the other ones.
Can you list those chronologically again? You said spiritually,
and then I have not actually thought through it enough to know if there's an actual growing limit. I would say, if I was to put it on the spot, spiritually, relationally, educationally, and then financially.
Right. Makes perfect sense to me.
That's because relationships are more powerful than education.
Because you can have all the education in the world, but not be able to have a conversation with someone you care about.
Or not be connected with the right people to take that education and empower it.
Makes perfect sense.
I mean, the relationships are key. And then who you are as a person And, the whole idea of morals and ethics and all that stuff. So, ethics is the understanding of the ethos, the essence of right and wrong. Who is the author? The fact that we can argue what is a greater right or wrong means that there is a greater right or wrong. I love that, okay? So, but ethics is the root understanding of ethos, and the morals of the community, that's the group's understanding of right and wrong based upon their individual collective of their ethics. And then laws are created to support good morals or discourage bad moral behavior, okay? So if you have a broken ethos, you built your entire house on shifting sand. The community does not do well.
Our brains work a lot of they're very stepwise.
Yes.
I think everything, we've been talking for 45 minutes, and everything that we've talked about.
Really?
Pretty nuts, isn't it?
Holy cow.
Yeah. Everything that we talk about has an order. Not that life operates in that perfect order at all times, which I think probably creates some conflict in the brain, which is a challenge in itself to work through. But everything that you're saying, I at least understand the concept, and I'm excited to pay more attention to.
Cool.
That's really, really cool. So. If I asked you, and this is probably a hard one to answer, what are you passionate about? Can you nail that down?
Yeah, let me think on that for a second. Passionate about. It depends on the mood, depends on my mindset, where I'm at. I get very passionate on the thing I'm in the moment of.
Can I ask you a different question?
Okay.
Two-part.
Okay.
What wakes you up in the morning? What keeps you up at night?
Ooh, that's a good way to put it. So systems wakes me up in the morning. Okay. I will often wake up with ideas of systems and things that my brain's been working on all night. And I'll wake up at 4 a.m, bing, and I've got this idea, I've got to write it down and things like that. Whether it's through work or with kids or with church and spiritual things, like systems, how to systematize and put systems of success in place for my family and my community. That wakes me up in the morning, okay? Often. So I love that. I'm bam, my brain has been solving things. I can visualize, even mechanics, I can close my eyes and visualize building engines and stuff in my brain, and my son does the same thing. It's totally fun to watch. It's so hilarious. My wife's like, yeah, that's you. So,
that's so sweet.
That visualization of the solutions is so much fun.
Yeah.
I'm involved with a couple other people's businesses, not with some understood ownership or success sharing, depends on the business. And I love bringing ideas and solutions to them. I love that. And then what keeps me up at night? You asked that at a good time, because I don't have insomnia. I don't have anxiety. I don't live with anxiety. I'm a very open book, and I don't struggle with that. 2 weeks ago I did, for about 3 days. And we have a scenario in real estate where an attorney has been attacking our agents unfairly, filed a bunch of frivolous complaints against them, and created a lot of drama, to the point where at that point, we were concerned if they could keep their real estate license, because there was so much drama. That cut me up, because I take the leadership of my agents very personally, and I did not sleep well that first night. The second night, not well. I didn't eat real good the next day. I just wasn't hungry. My body did not know what to do with anxiety, because I don't have it. What the crap is this? So, but other than that, I don't live with anxiety. I deal with it. That's a scenario.
Yeah. Is that a constant throughout your entire adult life? That it's just that you don't live with anxiety, or is this a thing that's developed? Maybe one time you did. Does that play in your life?
It's been a pretty good constant. I could be a bull in the china shop. I got to take that line down. I've got to temper myself, and I've tempered that aspect a lot in my personality. That I deal with things directly. I don't play politics. I say it as it is, and
it's a breath of fresh air, by the way.
You're welcome.
I think that's why.
Yeah.
I think that's why there's a really quality relationship there, is because what you see is what you get.
Yeah.
I'm talking about you. And I hope this is like one of the things that I work on for myself too, right? I hope that you and anyone else that I have a relationship with understands that like, I'm always going to be 100% honest, that you're never going to have to guess what I meant. And if you are, please ask now, in the moment, right? Because it's all like, what you see is what you get. And people that speak in absolutes probably are not a friend of mine. They probably don't like me because I like to look at things from every single angle to dissect it and pick it apart and see where I stand on it, probably based on ethos, morals. So your ability to speak unapologetically, candidly, and honestly is a breath of fresh air.
Cool.
It doesn't mean we have to agree on everything. Let's have a great conversation about that. And then we'll shake hands and be friends at the end of the day. But man, it's nice. It is so nice. So thank you for being you.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
Yes, it's great. Systems, and processes. Is everything in your life it has a system? Things have a particular place and order. Is that a true statement?
So much in my life has to. I enjoy a good system when it's built and running, but I also enjoy chaos at times.
Okay.
So if there is, like my onboarding my new agents, if I don't have a system and a tracking sheet, then that stresses me out because I don't know where I'm dropping the ball in their business because I have that deep personal responsibility for their business. So I've built pretty extensive checklists and systems and other people to help and with onboarding and training a new agent. That's important. Other times, I love winging it. I got this thing in my throat. So, I often really enjoy winging it. If I'm asked to speak somewhere, even like this, I was half tempted not to look at those because I love just winging it. Cool. If that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense. It's but here's the thing though, is that you have structured you have built systems in your life and structured your opportunities to wing it.
That's interesting.
So you have such a grip on your day-to-day and how they affect your weeks and your months and your years that you can identify an opportunity like this and say, this is going to be the one where I go in without precision and I wing it. So inherently that's a system. Like you have built a system to allow
it makes total sense.
So my question for you, the punchline of this question is Rachel like you?
She likes me.
Or what is it like?
She is a God's gift to me to balance me out. That's what she is. Yes. So
how does she do with your need to systemize things, especially like in your personal
life? She does like systems. She's she graduated from COTC, top of her class, summa cum laude. She's like the only person in COTC's history to graduate nursing with a 4.0. Like she's like precision study, diligently study, that kind of a personality.
She likes systems.
Yes.
That makes sense. Okay.
So then the whole winging it part stresses her at times. She has amazing grace and faith in me. And actually that's something that having your spouse's full faith in you of like, I think you're crazy, but I think you're right. So I'm going to rely on you to do this. So don't mess it up, Daniel. Like, holy cow, the pressure is on.
Yeah.
Okay? And so I really appreciate that aspect in her that she's like, I don't know what you're saying really, but you better do it right because the family's relying on you and I trust you. So
that's awesome.
Yes, that kind of pressure pushes me. That's cool. And that's awesome. Then she knows that and she leverages that as a good wife will push the buttons as they need pushed.
That's incredible. What would you say, whether that's personal, professional, what would you say have been some of the largest challenges in your life and how you've overcome them?
So I'd say professional, growing a business, entering into the professional world when I didn't have a background or a social background of that. My family and friends and family group no one has been corporate. I've gained a lot of corporate experience with the brokerage. that was a lot to gain wealth. So that's something my family, for much of my family, is not wealthy. And so, to buy properties, I do a fair amount of real estate investment as the opportunity comes. I flip a house or two a year, got some rental properties. God willing, I'll be personally and professionally debt free by my 38th birthday. So that's amazing. I'll have my house, and I've got some land, and I've got a couple rental properties, all of that.
Okay. So you said by your 38th birthday?
Yes.
How old are you right now?
37. Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure that was
Almost there.
I just wanted to make sure that was crystal clear to everyone listening.
But that's a weird thing. So I doubt I'll stay completely debt free, because you got to use leverage appropriately for mathematical purposes. But I want to do this just to do it. And rates are low, so I'll probably reset some of that debt at a better rate anyway and leverage it appropriately. But I also keep very close. Like I try to keep, when I have leverage, I keep about a 50% debt ratio on the equity, debt to equity. I try to keep a 50% rental ratio. So I could lose half of my rentals and still make my minimum monthly payment. So I'm very conservative on those. But building that system without having any family involved, so to speak, who have ever done that before, was a headwind. A lot of people are like, are you sure about this? You're taking a lot of risk there. Why would you buy that junker in the, over there? Like, there's a lot of, I don't know, Swick. And pushing through that, and like, no, the math makes sense. That was hard professionally. So yeah, then personally, completely changed the subject. Our oldest son died at birth about 10 years ago. That is the hardest. My parents are divorced. I lived through divorce. Divorce actually is like a perpetual death. Okay, that's why I think it's so hard on so many people. But my son dying was, for no apparent reason, was like the personal hardest thing, and that was a crucible. Like, that was a defining factor in our marriage and our life and a lot of things. That was hard. Yeah.
I'm sorry. That's horrible.
It was. So through that, I've just learned a lot of taking advantage of every moment. I've got 9-year-old, 8-year-old, she'll be 5 in a couple of days, and then an 18-month-old. And don't take for granted, I should say. Don't take for granted time. It is not guaranteed. The only time I have with Luke was singing to him in his mama's belly and him kicking at me because he loved it. So, yeah. There's the hard ones.
No, that's it's a huge takeaway to use moving forward.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing that. Man, this is I'm very excited to hear the answer to this. If you could, what's funny, man, is I've asked this question before, like, if you could, no, you can have a billboard on the side of the road. Like, anyone can do that. Like, anyone can do that. I used to ask, like, if you could. So you have, let's say you choose to get a billboard on the side of the nearest highway. What does it say? And then, of course, why?
Wow. Totally don't know what I'm going to say here.
I'm kind of nervous. I know you well enough to know that I'm a little nervous.
So a billboard would have to be a snippet. You can't write a book. Mm-hmm. So thinking through that, what is my example? All the law and prophets can be summed up as this: love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, strength, and soul, and love your neighbor as yourself. Like, that rolls up all ethics and morality. According to the author of Ethics and Morality, that rolls up all ethics and morality. So if the entire community and culture would follow that example, that would solve most of our needs from most of our government. Now, I'm a pretty strong libertarian, conservative. We can get in arguments on Facebook on that kind of junk, like all this stuff, but most of that's unneeded. Rules, external forces apply to those, and external regulations applies to those who don't have internal regulation. And if everyone would have better internal regulation, then we wouldn't need external regulation.
Beautiful answer.
So there would probably be something along those lines, because that is, if you want to sum up all answers to living a high quality existence, it's that.
Awesome. Great answer. Great answer. Let's talk a little bit about where veneration comes into your life.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about your veneration story. I want to know, I want you to share, when did you start and why did you come here?
Cool, yeah. So September, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's September of last year I started. So it's about 9 months ago. And my good friend Josh Rocky, really good friend of mine. We've been friends since I sold him a house 12 years ago. That's how I met him. And he has been, we've lived life together as families for quite a while. And last year he went to this competition that is, it's a combination of handgun shooting, rifle shooting, and CrossFit over a 2-day experience. Okay? And it looked amazing. He's like, Swick, you gotta do this with me next year. You gotta do this with me. They got a partners thing. They've never done a partners event. Yeah, so he was pushing me. And he's like 6'3", but $170. And I'm like 6'3", but 260. Okay, so he's like, dude, you gotta get in shape. Like, I'm big, I'm strong. What are you talking about, Josh? But I did know my knee was messed up. My knee's been boogered up for a couple years. My back's been out for a decade. Just in and out, not strong, twingy. Like, all right, Josh, I'll take your word for it. And so I hit a couple gyms, local gyms, like twinged my neck doing one, but I didn't know what I was doing, and like it just wasn't good, and they didn't feel good. I'm in here with these meatheads, and they're, it just didn't feel good. And so his wife is a CrossFit coach in Pickerington, and they pushed, you gotta find a local gym. And so I did some research, found you guys, and just randomly walked in, like, hey, what's this CrossFit thing? Tell me about it. And we clicked immediately. And I loved your mindset. Actually, really, because I'm in sales, I enjoyed the way you used that book and you sold. Okay? I was like, whoa, this dude either he instinctively knows how to sell or he's being coached. And that said something to me. You obviously have a group or a leader. You're a part of a group or you have some business leadership. I don't even know who they are, but I could tell that you did.
I will plug them actually right now for anyone, because you know what I hope? I hope that that someone in the fitness community, specifically the CrossFit community, but the fitness community, or a business owner listens to this and can take something away. Because Daniel, in our conversation alone, I've picked up a dozen things. I don't listen to these back.
Okay. I
can't wait to listen to this one back. Right? Like there's plenty, and I will be taking notes. So I hope someone listens to this. 5 years ago, so our bricks and mortar has been open for almost 6 years. So about 5 years ago, I was like, okay, this was never a hobby. I didn't start it as a hobby. A lot of people do. I did not. But I learned early on that I there's a lot of things that I don't know. I'll never know everything, but there's a lot to learn, and I know that I can take action on that now. So I did some research and I found a business mentor, and he was great, and he took me from point A to point whatever, and then it was time to branch out, and I found another mentor, and it's a mentorship group, so it's called Two Brain Business.
Okay.
And I've worked with Two Brain, which is a network of, I believe, like 850 of the best micro gyms worldwide, and I've learned a lot of best practices, and it's saved me a ton of headaches and a ton of money, and most importantly, it's saved me doing others a disservice. Okay, so I'm gonna give you an example real quick, and then back to you. All right, but you brought this up, so I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
So, what is one of the largest disservices that I could do to my clients? Some of the people that I care the most about in my life. One of them is offer a blank % discount. Offer a 20% discount to new members coming in right now. Because here's what happens: you get a ton of people that are looking for the special offer, the sale. They come in. We have an influx of membership larger than we can handle, like larger than we plan for, right? So the new people coming in get a lesser experience, and all of our current members, which I alluded to earlier, would get a lesser experience because we dumped 50 members into this machine in a month. And so now we're churning through people, the relationship isn't there, right? That is a very, very broken approach that so many microgyms do, is a race to the bottom. Let's be the cheapest, let's offer this sale, let's do this Groupon. I get it. People are trying to put food on their table. I understand it. And I am so grateful that I never had the opportunity to do something stupid like that because of leadership, mentorship.
Yeah.
So I wanted to give credit where it's due. Two Brain Business, Chris Cooper, and then my mentor, his name is Josh Martin. He is a phenomenal person first and foremost, and a phenomenal business coach.
Awesome.
So I do have, that's the long answer. I do have a coach.
Cool.
Everyone needs a coach.
Yes, they do. And the fact that you were structured and had obviously been coached meant something to me. Like, here's a guy who takes it seriously, and seriously enough to have other people investing into you. So that actually meant a lot on that onboarding of like, okay, so if you're going to have people over you, then how do I put this? So I could trust myself to you because you are trusting yourself to others.
Mm-hmm.
Make sense?
I have someone to answer to.
Yeah. Yep. So I started, I was so broken, I could not do burpees at speed because my back would twinge. I hit the ground, stand up slowly. Gabby was very patient with me. But yes, my back was bad. My knees, I couldn't do squats. I'm a big dude, right? So I'm huge. Everyone looks at me and like, oh, you're so strong. And I do have a lot of genetic talent. I've been blessed with a very strong frame. I don't go for size, but I'm huge. That's
true.
But I've been focusing on strength and stability for about 9 months, and I am PRing almost every time we do a PR. Like I just did, so in February we did the power cleans. I'm so new to this, I can't remember the names of these things, okay?
You know what I like? I like that you have more important things to worry about than the terminology. Like, just come to class, we'll tell you what the name is, and then just do it, and you do it so well. I don't need you to know. I don't need you to remember all the names. Like, it's so funny.
So that's actually one thing I love about CrossFit that I push to other entrepreneurs now. I'm now one of those CrossFit advertisers, walking billboards, because as a busy father of 4, husband of a wife, multiple business owner, regional vice president in the largest brokerage in Central Ohio, I've got a ton of chaos to manage. I can't build my own fitness system. I need to come to you, not think about it, trust that you're going to make it right, show up and do it and move on. Does that make sense? So,
you know what? If I wanted to sell my house, guess who I would call? I would call Daniel Swick. Okay, I'm not going to spend the next 12 months of my life trying to figure it out on my own. 100% for sure do a subpar job. No matter how good it is, I know there's an expert, right? You're talking about that just on the 180. Like, shoot, I always hit the mic. You can Google fitness program right now, and you're going to find 4 billion results.
Right.
They're out there, and they're free. Dude, you can go to CrossFit.com. CrossFit.com posts daily workouts for free, and they have for the last decade plus. I have devoted my life to researching, constantly educating, and building a world-class fitness program for working adults.
Right.
And
it shows. And dude, the results are phenomenal. Like, I PR'd by 20 pounds off of February to now, what is that, 2.5 months? I went from 165 to 185, and I got 205 all the way up, and I couldn't quite get under. Okay, so I'm like that close to PRing by 40 pounds on a fair amount of weight. I went from 9 months ago, I could barely do squats with a 95-pound bar on my shoulders because my knee hurt so bad. I'm almost deadlifting 400 pounds.
That's
okay,
so sweet.
So we haven't tested that in what, a month and a half. I probably could get 400 off the ground.
We've got a lot of sumo deadlifts against the band this month, and then I believe it's either end of the month or next month. We test our sumo pool, which yours will be it'll be higher than your conventional pool. You'll pull 400 plus.
I think so.
Yeah, for sure.
So I love it, and I'm not hurting myself. My back feels good. All these So I'm making just crazy gains, and I know I'm not even like at my genetic potential yet. So I'm super excited, and I'm not even going for size. I just want to be strong and stable. I don't want to break myself. I'm pushing 40. I don't heal as quick. I come 3 times a week because that's what my body can take right now. I'd like to up it up if possible, but I also push it pretty hard when I'm here. Mm-hmm. And then with my schedule, with my job and family and such, 3 times a week is good. And the way you've structured it, I can have lower general fitness, cardio, and then upper, and it works really well.
Yep. And every day you're getting a full body workout, right? Like we could go into that forever, but we do bias certain days for exactly what you're describing. CrossFit should appear random to the eye, like without digging into it. It is everything. It should be everything, but unfortunately, a lot of the times it is. There's a lot of randomness, but we pride ourselves on quite the opposite of a random approach. You were very tricky in the beginning, and you don't know this, but I'm going to share it with you now.
Okay.
So we had some very candid and in-depth conversations as a team about you, because I'm like, okay, guys, he's a rare breed. Here's the deal. Look at him. He's extremely strong. Okay, so strong that he probably doesn't realize that lift is not normal people from the start don't just do that at that load. So if there's ever been a time to live by what we preach, which is mechanics consistently and then add intensity, now is that time, because he will wreck himself because he's strong just inherently. He's just a strong dude. So yeah, you were tricky from the start to give you a little bit of leash to get a taste of that's what the next step looks like, and it's still we still play that game, right? Because you could absolutely right from the start, you could have definitely put on 300 pounds on a barbell and just picked it up 100%. You were capable, but it's could versus should. And so you're just all of this to say, dude, is you're just such a great testament to the long game, and some of your personal records that you're setting right now. I just want to repeat it. You could have done 8 months ago. Could have done them. You could have muscled through them, done them poorly. You could have done them, but I probably wouldn't still be seeing you in class.
Okay.
You would have gotten hurt, or just tweaked or frustrated or burnt out, and you play the long game the way it's supposed to be played. I want to see you doing this the day that you turn 100, right? Not for 100 days, right? So keep up the great work on that, because it's so freaking fun to watch. Cool. It's so fun to watch. You do it right. You do it right.
Thanks.
What is your favorite memory at Veneration thus far?
That's a hard one. I really enjoyed the hero workouts. I've had a couple of them. Those were fun. They were intense but fun. The passion workout was really cool. That was really cool. Pushing LA. I didn't know LA was going to be a coach. Okay, and I was paired with him, and I sensed it. He had just enough in the gas tank and just enough time that if I screamed at him enough, he would finish. Okay. And so I drove him, get up off the ground, get up. I was after him, and he finished with 5 seconds on a really, really hard workout that almost no one the whole day finished. That was a tough one.
Was that the open workout?
Yes, it was.
I know what you're talking about.
The first open, yes.
The fact that he finished that workout period is insanity.
It was, yeah. And he was laying on the floor trying not to throw up. The only reason I did that was because you were. That was fun. That was just enjoyable because I could see it in him. He had some of the gas tank and he didn't want to do it. Okay, but he had it. I could tell. So
and
that was
the day you realize that he is working through orientation to be a coach, you're like, oh crap! You're receiving into that.
Exactly.
Man, I promise we will wrap this up here soon. I'll let you get on with your day, but I do have a couple more questions that I want to know. What is one thing that you wish someone would have told you about Veneration before you joined?
About Veneration? Good question. That that I didn't need, if I followed the coaching, I didn't need to worry about hurting myself. That was my biggest concern. I told Gabby and over, I can't break myself. Gabby, I can't break myself. That was like my number one rule, and still is. I have way too much going on in my life to be down. So number one rule is don't break myself. And so, yeah, having that reassurance, and I think you should lean harder on the health, optimal health for working adults, active working adults. That demographic, I don't know what that looks like in your advertising and how you message things. That is a very, that needs to be leaned in harder on the marketing and advertising and things like that, because that is truly what it is. Now we've got some phenomenal, your brother and Gabby and that group of gals that went to that, like we have some phenomenal, like purist athletes, okay?
Sure.
So that are competing at a very, very high levels. But many of the people in here, at least in the groups that I see, are just moms and dads and with their teenage kids, and they're here to get stronger, get healthier, get more stabilized, live to be 95 in a healthy way, and not break themselves. It's so much of CrossFit, and this is my buddy's gym is a little more old school, and they do some crazy stuff. I'm like, Josh, you're crazy. I don't even know how that helps your body. Like
probably doesn't.
Right. So he loves it, and I'm good for him. But I think a lot of people have that misconception of like burpees till you vomit kind of thing, which isn't necessarily healthy. Maybe if you're a crazy supreme athlete and that's what you enjoy. But most people don't know that CrossFit can be not that. Still super intense, but also safe.
The answer to sharing that message is storytelling. People with your story, man. Like you're who we are here to serve. Now, here's the thing: the work necessary for an 18-year-old Division I athlete and my 96-year-old grandfather only differs in degree, but not kind. Okay, so I will elaborate on that.
Yeah.
If I'm training a Division I football player to head into college, right? He's going to do burpees, and he needs to be able to do X amount in this time with these mechanics, and then rest this much amount of time and repeat, right?
Yeah.
Grandpa Strout, he needs to be able to get up off of the ground if he trips and falls,
right?
Also known as a burpee. Okay, so the work that needs done by a human differs in degree, but certainly not kind. And we do adjust those degrees for a vast range, a large range of individuals. We have, I think our youngest kiddo that we work with is 7. And I believe our oldest is upper 70s.
Yeah.
So you coming here today and sharing your story will help a lot of people that maybe, don't understand that we're all just normal folks trying to do this life the best that we possibly can.
Right.
So that's, so thank you for sharing that. That's
cool.
Awesome, man. By your definition, what is a successful life?
My definition, successful life. That's hard. That's a really hard question. I don't like to give like top line answers. So I've not thought into that real hard on purpose.
Yeah.
So a successful life is, so psychology says we have this hierarchy of needs, right? We have this basic providence, and then social agreements, and then the very highest is self-actualization. I think that's false. Okay? Selfishness is not the highest level of, self-actualization is not the highest level. So understanding who you are as a person, who you were designed to be by God, understanding what your purpose, the good works prepared for you to do, What is your purpose? Who are you designed to be? Who are you designed to serve? What are those good works to do? And then living in that on a moment by moment, day by day basis would be that. So being, it's a whole be, do, have. Even in the very beginning. So when God created humanity, be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and subdue it, have dominion over all the works of your hands. That was as much it's a pattern as much as a statement. So the concept of be fruitful isn't just procreative. That is inventive and creative and, a value add, fruitful, okay? Multiplicative, if I use that word right. So be this kind of a person, because that's who our Creator is. We're made in the likeness of God. He is a creator. We are to be creators. We're to be value add to everything we do. Be, do. Then we've got to do the hard work necessary in that status of being if we ever want to have. And so living in that for whatever that is prescribed for you to be for your life, grow where you're planted very much. We are, train up a child in his natural bend and the way it should go. So we have predetermined advantages and disadvantages, strengths and weaknesses, positions in life, and we need to live that to the fullest. And what that looks like is often a personal conversation between you and your Creator, but that would be the highest level of success.
You took the next question right out of my mouth. I was going to ask you,
okay,
what would you encourage someone to do if they were struggling to identify what that is, right? They feel like they're just treading water or drowning and trying to navigate what that purpose is. But I think you just answered it. Let's have that conversation. Yeah,
it's totally understand. Go back to the drawing board of who do you think you are? Why do you think you are to be that kind of a person? Who do you think a person is? Like those very foundational ideas, those lay a foundation of logic and emotion that have real consequences, okay? So it's, and then working through that with a structure and a philosophy based on truth. We have a lot of philosophy thrown at us right now, a lot of false truths, and we have to choose. Even to the point, so the concept of truth. Like right now, I probably feel warm, and right now you probably feel kind of cool, okay? I don't know, I'm just guessing this. You're in a t-shirt and I'm in more dress clothes. Sure. But the empirical truth is it's probably, I don't know if there's a thermometer here, 72 degrees. So there are relative truths, but there's also an empirical truth, okay? How we feel about this empirical truth has some merit. Our feelings are here to guide us, but they're not here to determine the empirical truth, okay? So if I feel warm all the time and I walk outside in the dead of Ohio winter in a t-shirt and shorts, my misfeelings of the truth will kill me, okay? And that is no different spiritually. So there is empirical truth where we should search for that truth. If it is worthy of being called truth, we'll stand up to the fire, okay? We should debate and talk and challenge because if it's truly worthy of believing, it will always win, okay? Have no fear and understand it. Is this what I believe actually true? And dig into it. But also at the same time, as a culture, we base most of our truth finding based on how we feel about the scenario or the person or the relationship. And feelings are here to guide us, but they're not here to rule the scenario. And that's where we start having emotionally fatal, relationship fatal decisions because of the way our feelings have led us astray of the truth of what is right and wrong or what is best in that scenario. So, I don't know if I answered the question.
You did,
on that. So,
thoroughly.
Okay.
It's, what's really cool, dude, is that this will be recorded. Anyone out there that has their own podcast, you need to invite Daniel Swick on because it's a great conversation, and I want you to have more opportunity to get your your thoughts and your beliefs on record for your family, because that was one of the motivating factors to me starting my other podcast as well. Is I could walk out of this building and get hit by a car today, and that could be it. And I believe that I have some things of value to pass on to my son and his kids and my great grandkids, that no matter how healthy I am, I'll never meet my great grandson. Right. So
they can meet you. And that's the cool thing about this day and age in the video. Dude, they totally can meet you.
Relatively speaking, this is brand new.
Yes.
This is a new thing.
As humanity, this is so cool to be in this place.
If for nothing else, you and I will have this conversation, another conversation on recording again very soon, because you're a very intelligent person with a really, really awesome set of perspective. And it has been an awesome conversation. I'm happy this is on record for your family always. So as we bring this episode to a close, I do want to remind you to submit any questions that you might have for myself or the coaching team in the YouTube comments or on the Facebook page. You can email me, storm@crossfitveneration.com. I want to answer your questions, and I want my team to have the opportunity to answer your questions when I bring them on. If you have found any value in this episode, there's a lot of it there, so please pass it on, pay it forward, and share this with someone that you think could benefit from hearing some of the lessons that Daniel has passed on through his story today of his life. If you or a friend would like to begin your health and fitness journey with us, I would personally invite you in for your own new member consultation. Head over to CrossFitVeneration.com and we'll team up with you to learn about your story and get you a custom action plan built today. Daniel, my final question for you is, if you were in my seat today, what would you have asked yourself about that I didn't? I have never got you speechless.
Yeah, that's a good one. That was out of the blue. So, was that on the list you sent me? Probably not. No? Okay, awesome.
You said you wanted to be
I love it.
Off the cuff.
So, probably something we didn't until we talked about a ton. So, something maybe more about so two things possibly. The family systems I have involved for growing and raising my children, family mottos, things like that. We have some really cool things with that as a family. So that would be pretty cool to dive deep into some of that.
Yep.
And then real estate investment properties. A little bit more in the technicals of that. I talked about making math. Does it make math or not? What does that math look like? Things like that. Maybe some more technicals of that, because the devil's in the details on that. So yes.
Okay, so here's what we're gonna do, and this is not scripted. This was not planned.
Okay,
but I like cliffhangers, right? We're like you and I now. We're gonna have this is season 1, episode 1. All right. Yes. So here's what's next. I want to have you onto my podcast. So this is Veneration Podcast.
Okay.
I want to have you onto my podcast, and I want to dig into parenting.
Okay.
I actually have a whole separate list of parenting questions that I want to hit you with.
Okay.
So the cliffhanger that we're going to give is, if you could, and this might be kind of hard because this is a whole parenting of human life, right? If you could leave one message or lesson or piece of advice to, let's say, me, right? Let's say like a young dad that I have one son. We're working on growing our family. I love how people say that, like it's like this hard job. Like, I'm working hard to grow my family. It's really a tough task. The
guys have it easier.
So, and we always like talk about it like that. Like, yeah, we're gonna start working hard and trying.
Right.
What piece of advice would you pass on, and we'll leave it there?
Wow. Piece of advice for a young dad. So, I would say, spend the time while you have it. Invest the time, especially when they're young. one of the cool things of the 2020 pandemic is I had a brand new baby at home, and there was many mornings that he fell asleep in my arm while I sat on the front porch and made business phone calls with my earbuds in. That was so cool. And spend the time, invest intentional time with your kids, especially. So I'm the last generation to graduate high school without a cell phone recording every dumb thing I did. Okay? We talked about that. So this pandemic, this curse of a mobile device, like I struggle with that thing. Put the stupid thing down, it's over there. So I don't even have the twitch. Right? So be present with your children. Intentionally present. Whether it's in the good times and you're playing games, or the bad times and you're teaching them discipline. Be very present as much as possible. Be intentionally present. Even if you're not like in the game, you're actually watching them while their daughter dances or whatever. So yeah, awesome. Be super present when you're with them intentionally. That was the biggest thing I could probably at this time for our culture and younger growing up. The distractions are destroying parent-child relationships. So be present.
The absolute best thing you can give your child is your attention.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Awesome. Great advice. Daniel, thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's been a blast. I'm so excited for next time. And everybody listening, catch us next time. I believe we're having my wife, Coach Court, on the podcast next time. So we'll see you soon. In the meantime, everybody stay safe, keep moving. We'll talk to you later.